Hey y'all, it's Michael, and the next short story collection that I'm going to be reading is Men Without Women by Haruki Murakami. I'm really excited about this because while I have a love and hate relationship with Murakami, and I want to say love and hate, it would be more of a balancing act, if anything. I'm always excited to see what he's going to put out. I wanted to read a short story collection by him because I recently watched Burning, which is it's on Netflix. It's a movie based on one of his short story called Farm Burning, which was in a short story collection called The Elephant Vanishes that I read a few years ago. So that's why I picked this out. So I don't know how it's gonna go. I'm expecting cat, jazz, pasta, spaghetti. We'll see how it goes. Let's go. Right, so I finished the first short story on here called Drive My Car. Um, this one, I think I'm in the middle about, probably more towards the liking end. But this is a story about an actor, Kafuku. He's getting a driver for his car, Misaki. And this explores a lot of things without giving too much away, essentially. His wife, who's deceased now, and then how he befriends this one of his wife's lovers. So that's how the story goes. This is one of those stories where it's like, I think that Murakami does really well, which is like a starting jump point. He presents all of these ideas to the reader. Not everything is explained. Yeah, so it makes the reader really put in the rest of the puzzle pieces. And it's actually like if he were to write a full-on novel about it, I think it would be really interesting. If anything, there's not enough cats. There's hardly no cats. There's no jazz. There's mention of literature, which Murakami does a lot. But yeah, I thought it was like it's a good starting point. It's a good starting point. Once again, the women are portrayed as not the smartest and not the best, but it's Murakami at this point. I don't know what to tell you. I finished the second short story on here called Yesterday. This one was it was alright. This wasn't my favorite. It rises to the climax, but I really wasn't satisfied in the end. It's basically about this narrator who befriends a person. It's like hard to talk about. And basically this friend it wants the main character to date his girlfriend. But yeah, I'm trying to yeah, that's it. It also hinges on the amount that the reader is able to believe the story in general. And I felt as though there are like parts in here where I was just like, I don't really know, but yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan about it. And also, it didn't have this air of like, it had moments where it was like, oh, it seemed very like Murakami-ish, but I don't know, I felt let down. Forgive me for the hair. I just woke up. So I just finished reading An Independent Organ. I didn't like this. I didn't like this. And it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. So this is a perfect example of why readers don't really like Murakami. Um, yeah. So first off, it was kind of boring. Like, I really didn't get anything from it. Essentially, like, just it was kind of boring. Point blank. Period. It was like a real. It was just basically like a lull throughout the whole story. Now, this is a story about Tokai, and he's not the narrator. Oh, the narrator who meets Tokai at the gym, and so they start talking, and come to find out, we just find out that Tokai, like about his life, he's a doctor. He has like affairs with married women. Like he's single, but he has affairs with married women, like multiple women at the same time. It's just not good. There's really nothing captivating about it or like just wowish about it. And also, I have to mention this: the translation is kind of weird. There were moments in here where it feels really weird, which is weird because this is translated by Philip Gabriel, and he's done other translation by like he's one of the translator for Murakami, and I've read other works by him, and it was actually translated pretty well. I felt as though like it got the vibe of it, but there were some moments in here where it was like weird. I was like, that's a weird translating choice. Like, for perfect example, please turn your book to page 93. Page 93. And it says on here, graduated from the plastic surgery department of med school. Like, I don't know, that was like, it felt weird, but yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like it. It's not nice to women at all. The character development isn't that great. It's just like, okay. But other than that, I don't. Yeah, I didn't like it. I did not like it. Right, so I finished reading the short story Shahrazad. Shahrazad. It's a reference to 1001 Nights. This one was this one was weird, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. So this is about Habara, and it's about him who he classifies. He has like a diary, a sex diary essentially, where he writes about women that he has sex with, and this he names them all Shahrazad. We're following one woman whose name is Shahrazad, and it's she's explaining like about her life. It's really weird, and the things that she done as a child, and how how as a child she would sneak into this this like her crush's house, and she would do weird things like well, it started off weird, but then it becomes to like turns into like burglary and like stealing. It's very Murakami in the sense that it's weird. Like and the characters do really weird things. Murakami does really like one of my favorite things that I like about his writing is that he doesn't explain things, but there's a possibility that things could be connected. I'll just leave it at that. But in the end, I was just like, okay, it was weird. All right, so I finished reading the next short story on here called Kino. This one I did like. This is about our main character named Kino, who owns a bar named Kino. He named the bar after himself, essentially, and it involves him with a particular. It's a small bar, so it involves him with a particular customer. His name is Kamita, and it goes off from there. This is very Murakami. It's bizarre. It's weird. It has very um, layers to the weird things that's going on. Story really emphasizes one of Murakami's themes that I see a lot in his works is this notion of disappearing and going away. It actually is in the other short stories too. Like there's another one that involves this just being gone, not essentially like from this earth, like from like dying in a way, but like it's really weird. I don't know if that's something like culturally that Japanese people um have like I don't know what that is, but it's always interesting because I really see it. You see it actually in all of Murakami's work. Can also tie back to like a lot of the themes that Murakami talks about is like loneliness and being alone. Which is really interesting because then that can tie into being like disappearing and going away. But yeah, I like this one. It has cats. So, oh, this one has a snake. It has animals. So I was like, ooh, okay. Right, so I finished reading the next short story on here called Samsa in Love. This was really weird. It's very Murakami. It's about this person who wakes up in a body called Samsa, and something weird is happening. Basically, that's it. And then there's a woman that comes to the door. It's very mysterious, very like this air of just something weird has happened or is going to happen, or there's like clues throughout the stories, but nothing is really explained. All right, so I finished the last short story on here called Men Without Women. It's the titled story of the collection. And overall, I didn't like it that much. It wasn't his best. It's about our main character, our protagonist, and he basically receives a phone call from the husband of a wife. He received a phone call from the husband of his ex saying that she committed suicide, and this is him basically recounting this state of mind and like the past, like the relationship, and then this concept about men without women. Because it's yeah, I just didn't like it. It wasn't Murakami's best. I'm not gonna lie. It was also forgettable. Like it's not the best. I think one thing that really irked me about it, it felt really meandering. Like Murakami tends to meander within all of his stories actually, but this one is kind of egregious, and then it felt very repetitive, like really repetitive. And I was just like, we like you won't have to keep telling us it. It was very repetitive, but yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it that much. So I'm gonna give you all my final thoughts on Men Without Women by Haruki Murakami, translated by Philip Gabriel and Ted Goossen. This I don't think is my favorite. I really didn't like it, to be honest with you. There's only one essentially like good story in here, and that's like the first one. But other than that, the other ones are like more hits, more misses than hits, and some of them are just okay, as you saw. Um, this I felt as though was missing a lot of what I love about Murakami. From my own personal experiences, tends to either write really fantastical fantasy, magical realism in the Japanese sense of weird, bizarre stories, or when they get contemporary. But he does a really good job of mixing those two every once in a while. Like it's every once in a while. You can put your own, as a reader, I can put my own thoughts into it and seeing where it goes. I really enjoy doing that. Like that's one of my favorite aspects of it. But in the end, I wouldn't recommend this that much. I really didn't like it. And in the end, most of these stories are forgettable, if anything. But yeah, I didn't like it. I don't think it's his best. But the moments when it does shine, it does really well. The mysterious, the weird, bizarre moments. Also, there weren't a lot of cats. There weren't a lot of cats or a lot of pasta. Like, and those are my favorite. Or there were some stories with jazz, and literature, but I felt as though there weren't enough. So yeah, if you read this short story collection, let me know what you think about it. I would love to hear your thoughts. Until then, I'll see you guys till next time. Bye. At the end of these videos, I let y'all know the next short story collection that I'm going to be reading, and that's The Street of Crocodiles and Other Stories by Bruno Schultz.